Hey guys, how you doing? Okay, let's do this thing. Let's see how we're doing. Alright, hold on. Okay, dokie. Good. We're all good now. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so this is the Wesley So Marathon. This is game 10 in his candidates tournament. So we're gonna start into it. It's versus Ding is white and Wesley is black. So I need to flip the board. Alright. Ding played D4, D5, Knight, C4. So he's trying to do the Queen's Gambit. Wesley does the Queen's Gambit decline. It's really popular. You could do something called the Slav defense, which is C, and then he goes Knight here, and you potentially can go the accelerated modern variation is that, and then you also have just the knight. The knights come out, and the three knights variation, and then you can play there. Then you go with the Slav, and then if he takes, and sometimes they'll play actually, sorry, not there. They'll get out of there. They'll play their bishop out. You play your knight. He plays there. Then you play here. He takes, and you kind of get a similar structure like this. He castles, and then it's all about who has positional advantage at that point. So, but that's the Slav. And then of course you have the Queen's Gambit accepted, which there's that way, the old variation. And then you have that variation. You even have Knight C3, and there's even a modern line F3 if you want, Knight F3. So, but we're gonna he does the Queen's Gambit declined. So, all right. Bishop E7, Knight F3. So it's everybody's just developing. They're just developing. They're just developing. And so he got his bishop outside the pawn chain, and now it kind of looks similar to, if you notice, it's similar to a London system somewhat, but the only difference is the London system would have a pawn on c3, and the knight would be back here, and it would be on d2, bd2, and the pawn would be on c3. It's all based because of the bishop being outside the pawn chain. So b6 was played by Wesley, and an idea for b6 is a6. I thought of this line here as one of my ideas is if he plays something like, we'll say here, you actually could play b6. If he plays queen here, then you actually have let me see, what could you play? You don't have to worry about this being captured. So you potentially could actually play, and then yeah, hey, how you doing? It takes, and something similar to this break. If he takes, and I've actually seen somebody take like that, and it's kind of the imbalance of this structure here is slightly better for black, but it's still okay. So rather than that, he Ding takes on c5. C takes d5. Knight takes d5. And so if the knight takes, he'll take with the queen, not the pawn. Because what Wesley wants to do is go to bishop to b7, and then potentially if this bishop moves out and castles, if this knight is gone off the board and the king castles, you get a bishop here and you have a mate threat. So the takes would have blocked Wesley's b7 bishop to its max potential of an attack along the h1 to a8 diagonal. Okay, bishop e2, bishop b7, bishop takes, and check. That was somewhat questionable. I don't know. I might have, if I was the computer, if I was Ding, I might have just castled, so I didn't have to walk into such a huge attack. You don't really. Sometimes it's not good to get greedy because Wesley came over. Yeah, you can seal up with here, but and then you smack him there, and it's like, really, what do you accomplish? And you can actually come back, and now the king can't castle, so it's like, really? Then you would play f6, and he'd move f5, bishop takes. Well, I don't think bishop would take. Now that I think about it, I think it'd probably just retreat back. More likely he'd retreat back there. Sorry, he could just play there, and I don't know. It's slightly better for white because of the air around the king. So, but sometimes it's not good to get greedy with your pieces. And so Ding tries to still keep this pawn, the G pawn, so that like when he moves his knight, if there was he really can't. He's got Wesley's got to get his knight out because he can't take this knight yet. Because if he did, the bishop would take and the rook would be toast on a8. So now it's all good. h4 was played. Do you see how these players, the supers, study with engines? They study with engines to get how lines are played. And then they learn those lines, and they put them to memorization. Then they can play them, and then it's just like reflex for them, and they don't really have to think after a while. So that's what the blessing of having the computer engine is sometimes. And see, Wesley plays a computer move. Ding plays. Oh yeah, exactly. If you get it to N, it's not. He's not messed. Ding's position isn't messed up. It's just, I don't know. Castling. I would have felt better about castling because when you get into the Queen's Gambit declined, it's slightly, it's an equal position for black. So it's, if you make a slight inaccurate move, excuse me, you can go down really, really hard. Black could really punish you. So the best thing to do for white is to castle and try to do more positional, and that's kind of what the Queen's Gambit decline is based on, a positional game. So it's just, it's got to be careful, like what you're saying. You don't want to go too far into the enemy's camp. And greed is good if you can actually keep. Oh, okay. Greed is good if you can actually keep it. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Yeah. I try to stay with the French if I can, or some line of the French, because it has standard moves for the opening. They almost always, if you're black, they play like e4, 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 then you have e6, d4, and then d5. That's the standard French. This setup here with the structure like this and the pawns, white pawns here. That's the line of the French. It'd be pawn here, here, and then white would have a pawn here. And from there it goes to the Tarrasch, the Winier, the classic variation. There's a lot of lines in the Winier, so if you're interested in the French, Simon Williams has a really good one called the Killer French. He has a series on that, Killer French 1 and Killer French 2. Also, I believe that Varakobian, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, on YouTube, I think he has some French games from St. Louis Chess Club. So if you kind of want to look at that, he's considered kind of the master player of the French. He loves the French. And the French will take you through a certain level of your play. You can, like Simon said in his DVD, or as a download, virtual download, either one that you get, he said that he stuck with an opening. Yeah. If you're thinking of an opening, the French would be a good one to get to look at for black if you're thinking about one. It's pretty straightforward to learn. There's not really a lot of lines in it, and there's a lot of tapes like for YouTube. There a lot of players do the French, so that's a good opening if you're wanting to get a quick opening for black. That's a big one. And it'll get you from the opening to the middle game. Okay. But if you there's a lot of different lines for black, in the French. So it's a as Gary says, it's a jungle. Yeah, it's a jungle for sure. Once you start in on the chessboard, it's like walking through a huge jungle. You have to know where you're going. Let's see. Okay, bishop takes. Yeah, takes. Okay, pawn takes, and it's equal here because Wesley's gonna create a isolated, not isolated, because the bishop will take, and now he'll take back this pawn with the queen. Rook to h5, and it's going to go towards a draw. That's what he called it. He called it, I believe he called it the black and white jungle on the chessboard. That's what I believe Josh Wadeskins also referred to that as well. So because there's so much once you get to like a certain number of moves in, there's so many calculations that it's like indefinite. But there's only, I found that there's only certain moves that are good, so you don't have to worry about calculating all variations. There's only certain ones that are good. So. But there's just massive amounts, and when you get to the Grandmaster or National Master or Master level, you have to go from tactics to more game play or game learning. So you don't really have to be afraid, you know what I mean, for a while. But there's really no fear if you know how to study properly. And that's the nice thing about engines. They usually pick the best lines. They actually go through this, like Stockfish 9 has millions and millions of games, and it's calculated all those games to find a game, I don't. It would probably, if you looked into the system or something, it would probably bring up like whoever played as black this move to f6, and it would. That's how it gets the percentage per pawn. Is it an equal game? Is it a non-equal game? It calculates that like that, and it even sets up tactics for you. Let's see. Okay, there. Like when it shows like 3 pawns up here, like you do a move and you wonder why it's 3 pawns, just let the computer play it out over a certain amount of time and it'll actually show you. And sometimes they do repetitive moves, so you have to sometimes get past those. And so it would actually play out to a draw here, the computer would, because it's 0. And it would show you what a drawn line would look like. So bishop d5, knight c6, and so if bishop took here, probably rook takes would be played, yeah. And then pawn takes. And see, now it's slightly better for black in this scenario because the pawn structure favors black in an endgame, because how there's only 2 pawn islands for black and there's 3 for white, so it's a 0.7 for black, and if you played it out, it would eventually the computer would show you the line to its best effect of handling a structure like this for black. But it's not always 100% perfect, so. But it gives you some really nice lines to learn. And up here is the line sequence. So if you, I don't know how to, make this go out longer, but if you did, it could actually take out 18 moves back and forth for both sides, and you can write the 18 move line, and then you can play it on the board and see what actually happens from here. Okay, we'll get back to the game at hand now. Okay, the rook went back, Ding went back with his rook. Yeah. And it's kind of weird. Wesley has a, Maurice Ashley calls this a candidate pawn. Because if you ever get these pawns going, something like this, you can push onward and this pawn ends up becoming a passer, because a candidate pawn, Maurice said, is a pawn that doesn't have a pawn in front of it. So if you played here, 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 and he took, and you took, this pawn here would end up becoming a pass pawn. So it's called a candidate pawn. I'm learning how these names and how it works. My teacher taught me. It's just been so long since I've I had to go over the names again. So don't be afraid to actually go over stuff again and again. That's how it goes into your brain. But the cool thing is, I don't know if you guys followed though. The in Germany, I'm not sure what the name of the tournament is. It's like the Greenwich or something like that. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the tournament wrong. Classic. Fabi won that tournament. Yeah. Well, what you do is you find a move like you get to see why the move is not correct. Like in your line, if you made like an error and it's 3 pawns, you go back to the point where you were slightly winning, and you find out what the right moves would be, and then you take it out to a certain part. Yeah, you take it out to further, and it will show you why the move doesn't work. And even your move, let's say it was not a very good move. Um, you can play it out for as the computer will could play it out. We'll say it's like, let's say we moved something and it gave our opponent a 3-pawn advantage. You could then can play out that all the way till it'll show you like a tactic. It'll show you positional play. It'll show you a way to maybe use it for a sacrifice for a mate. So it's just cool when you know how to use the engine properly, and you don't. It's not like you use it as a crutch. You can use it as a learning tool. Think about it. The Lord made our minds, so why not help? Computers have allowed players to go to accelerate. Like young kids can now go from, you know, just beginner to grandmaster with computer analysis. So it's just incredible. And I think it was Anon who was the first to incorporate computer and the board and chess as one. And they did a study, a grandmaster versus an amateur with an engine, and the amateur player practiced with the engine, learned the lines, and they played against the grandmaster, and the amateur actually won against the grandmaster because he understood the lines and the ideas behind what the grandmaster was playing. Trust me, it probably took the amateur a little bit of time to get used to how it all runs, but when you get it and you can apply it to your play, it'll really improve your way of thinking on the board. But you want to make sure that you understand why the computer moved the move. So even if you have to go over it again and again and again, eventually you'll get an understanding. Oh, I know why he did that. He's protecting it 3 more moves into the future. That pawn would have been attacked, but because he played e3, now if there was a bishop here, the bishop would move here and it would have attacked with a rook here if there was a rook here and a bishop. So this blunts, and then this rook's here and something like that, and it will show you why it moved that move. And so, okay, bishop takes, bishop, let's go back here. Bishop takes knight, rook takes check, rook takes, and bishop takes. This is going to end up a draw because of each player has a candidate pawn. And the interesting thing is you'll learn in endgame, as we do endgame, more endgame studies, that if both kings are close enough to the candidate pawns, like white's king is close enough to stopping it, and black's king is close enough to stopping white's candidate pawn. So it's basically a draw. But if white's king was over here, and we'll say black's king is over here, they both were over here. White's king's here, and black's king's here. Black would have a better chance of queening than white because black's king is closer to stopping the candidate's pawn in an endgame play. But on the contrary, white's king that would be here, white's king that would be here is farther away from the candidate pawn, because if this pawn ever became a passer, if the white king was over here, it wouldn't be able to stop it. But the black king that's here, if this one ever became a pass pawn, black would be able to get to it in time, but white wouldn't be able to get to stop this pawn here. So it's just you just learn these things with endgame study and practice. So don't get overwhelmed with it. It took me a while to get an understanding of it. And so now that pawn falls, that pawn. So they both have pawns that can be stopped by their kings. Both rooks are Wesley's rook's on the second. Ding's rook's on the 7th. They both have pawns that could potentially be passed, and they both can be stopped by each other's rook. So a4, and so now Ding plays b6. He moves back with check. King goes up. Wesley takes. Ding takes, and there's no more need to, when you're at a certain level in chess, there's no need to continue on. This is a dead draw. The players have mastered endgame. When you master endgame, you actually get an understanding of where also certain openings tend to produce certain pawn structures and certain endgame positions. And my teacher told me that chess has been kind of taught inverse wrong. It's not wrong. It's just they need to teach endgame, and then what you do is once you learn endgame, you start adding pieces to the board. Then you get to the middle game, and then once you get a good understanding of the middle game, you add more pieces, and then eventually, surprisingly, when you get enough pieces on the board, you're in the opening. So that's what he told me. I do sometimes, yeah. Yeah, it is interesting for sure. And so now we'll get on to our puzzle count, and we'll start into our puzzle learning, which is fun. Yes, I do. There's a lot of information out there on YouTube. So if you're interested in like certain openings, there's openings on YouTube. There's a ton of different information if you're interested in it. So that's the cool thing about the internet. It's really made learning very efficient. Let's see here. The queen's almost trapped. Oh yeah, I do. I do watch chess on YouTube. Oh, who do I watch? Oh, okay. I sometimes I watch Var Akobian. Sometimes I've watch Maurice Ashley. He's got some good ones, and I do also watch National Master Dan Heisen. He has some good ones too on the London. So there's a lot out there for you to watch. The opening that's coming to a very high in the sector is the London. I don't know if it was for a while very popular. I don't know if they play it. What they're playing now is the Cataline and the Roy Lopez. I've seen a lot of Roy Lopez games. And like Wesley sometimes will play. He won't do the Queen's Gambit accepted. He'll do Queen's Gambit declined. And then there's also the Petrov is a really popular opening. Fabi likes that opening. So let's see here. I'm trying to. The queen is so close to being trapped. I got to be careful. We have a here, and then we have there. Wow. It's not good for him. Good for him. That, you know what? Congrats for that. I gotta say that. You know what? That takes a lot of dedication to get to that level. So, let's see here. Snap. So there has to be something. We may have to sacrifice our rook, maybe. Potentially. Maybe with like rook takes pawn. I think that might be the move if I'm not mistaken. Rook takes check, pawn takes, and then bishop takes. No. Nope, I'm wrong on that. Because then he has a check here. Snap. Well, let me see. What's his idea? Yeah. What check would win? Let me see here. And then there and there. Yeah, there's only one sitch. I'm trying. We're so close to winning the queen. This knight move. You have to remember the Aikido principle. When the knight moved to g4, it actually blocked in the queen. So there's a way we can win this. What about bishop c6? c6. Bishop c6. Oh, c6 check. c6 check. Where am I? Ooh, nice. Nice. That's it. Snap. I can't believe I didn't see that. Rats. That's a really nice move. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, you're right on that. Wow. That's a really nice move. Good job. Great find there. Let's see here. That, by the way, that tactic was a discovery check. Each one of these, yeah, you did great. Good job. But each one of these puzzles has like a tactic to it. So like the cool thing was that was a discovery check and it wins a piece. It was like it was a fork. It was a discovery check fork, kind of. It was like a discovery check and then a discovery on the queen. So it was like a double discovery. So like if you can solve these and then you can give a name of like a tactic to it, like if it's a fork, double check, discovery, it becomes more memorable in your mind for learning by giving it like a name or something. Are you sure? I think it was. Let me see. Hold on. Let's go back. I want to see. Right here. Hold on. Come on. Go back. Yeah, this was a discovery. This was a discovery. Oh, you're right. It was a discovery with a check. So it was a discovery, and with a check that won a piece. So yeah, it was a discovery that wins a piece by using a check. So yeah, you can rephrase it that way. But it was a discovery, so just you can always, if you're the big general term of that was a discovery. But it used a check to win a piece, so yeah. A discovery check would be different. It'd be like if you had a rook here, a bishop here, a king here. The bishop moves, and there'd be a check here. If the rook was here, the bishop was here, The king was here. You moved the bishop. The king would be in check by the rook. And that's a discovery check. Correct. So let's see here. Let's see what tactic we can use to play here. Is there a way to win material? Is there taking the queen and then a fork? Is there a decoy sacrifice? Anything here? Let's see. What do we got here? First of all, there's a way of doing candidate moves. Is there a check? Is there a piece that can be captured? Is there like a fork, pin, skewer, decoy, x-ray, you know, all those different ones? Or double check. You go down the list of on a list, and it will help you to kind of look for candidate moves. That's what my teacher taught me, is if you kind of get stuck for a plan also in a game, and you're like, you don't know what to do, just move a piece to the best square, and then that passes the move to your opponent, and then you might be able to see potentially what he's planning. So that's because I asked what would happen if I didn't know about if I had a plan, and so he told me that. Yeah. Okie dokie. Let's see here. What are we missing here? Yeah, this bishop, if you notice, the queen moved off this file, off this rank that was protecting this bishop. So potentially there's an idea based on this bishop, potentially to win it. So when you see pieces on pre, which means the ability to be captured, you sometimes can make ideas around unprotected pieces. So that's also what you can look at as well. Let's see here. Oh, whoa. Wait a second. We could just play bishop takes g7, king takes g7, then the queen comes in, then it moves back and we mate. So let's see here. Let's say the king doesn't take. Let's say the king doesn't take, and he takes here. Huh. We got to be careful of this take right here. Because if we take here right away, he can play queen takes, rook takes, and then king takes, and he's one apiece. So yeah. Yeah, gee, that's an interesting idea. I believe you're right on. Well, let me see. Well, then he's got to check here. Huh. Potentially, we could actually play maybe queen d2. That would guard there. Now let's see here. If we place here, there, here, check, king h2. And then if he plays there, we take with the knight. Interesting. That is interesting. That is an interesting idea, isn't it? Potentially, I believe you're right, because that does do a multitude of threat too. So if this knight ever moves, you win the bishop. When this queen moved from b7, it made it so that our queen could go to g5, because no longer does the discovery work. So, ooh, wait. Ouch. He has that. Snap. We play here. So if we played here, he has there. Youch. With a discovery on our queen, and it's check. So it'd be a discovery. Ouch. So that's out of the question. Ouchie. Oh boy, this is it's probably simpler than we think. Okay, that's okay. Not to worry. You know what? Be safe. You know what? You're always welcome back to do puzzles. Yeah, you just gotta be very careful, because a move that I think it was Alekhine that said, if you see a good move, look for a better one, because you never know, there might be a better one. So always have a couple candidate moves in mind, and then you can try those moves out and choose which one's the best. So never be afraid to put in what you think. We'll go over it and we'll find the best move together, because we're in this together. Are you still here? Oh. Okay. Oh, good eye. Oh. Sorry, I thought that was a B. I should enlarge that. Yeah. Huh. I mislooked at that. I mislooked at that. Yeah. Gotcha. Yes. Okay. Ooh, interesting. Do we have a knight? Huh. Knight c6 is an interesting idea. And we're threatening the bishop with a fork. That is a interesting move. For sure. So then if the bishop comes back, then takes, queen takes. Oh wait, we let's see here. Ah, snap. It's too bad he couldn't take. It'd be lovely to have a discovery there, Drat. I'm trying to see if we, because this bishop is very vulnerable to an attack here, so I'm trying to see if we can't maybe use that as a potential well, you know, it's, you know what, you work hard. Huh? You know, it's all about understanding, and you know what, I congrats the player on getting to 2600. So you know, it's all about putting in the work and being good at seeing tactics and being patient. See, some players have the ability to see them, but guess what? We're building our tactical eye together. And remember, it's not about the rating; it's about the understanding. That's what I learned. And you know, my teacher told me that the rating will come when your understanding tracks right alongside with that. So he told me, don't worry about your rating. Your rating will come with understanding. And so he was a very wise teacher, and it was really cool. Yeah, I'm thinking that he potentially moved back, so I'm trying to figure out if that's a good move. A good move here. G6 is an interesting move as well. Hmm. Hmm. So here, there. What do we do after C6 though? I guess we could potentially bring our bishop back. That would be interesting. Well, after takes, let's see here, there, takes. If rook takes, bishop comes there. Or potentially, maybe we even have a queen. The queen's actually powerful after that, so the queen would actually have to take here. So if we played here, here, sorry, here, there, takes, queen takes, rook takes, and then bishop g5. Let's see here. There's a lot of ideas behind knight c6, and that does go along with the idea of the bishop being on pre, which means the bishop being open for an attack. So yeah, if we played here and he moves back and we play there, he potentially actually takes, and then he frees up the rook to guard the queen. That's the only sitch. So, I was thinking if he goes here, we could actually here, there, takes, And if rook takes, we can actually play queen there, and I believe we're winning at that point. Yeah. No, you're fine. Hey, you know what? I'm glad you're helping out. I appreciate that you guys do that, because it makes it tactics fun when you do that. I believe knight c6 is a good move. Yeah. There we go. And if he moves his bishop back, wow. Okay, mate and 8. Wow. So king takes. Oh, mate and 1. Boom. So he has to make a flight for that. Then he takes here. Pawn push. Queen comes in. Queen takes. Takes. King moves up. Queen takes. Check. Sorry, rook comes up. And my teacher taught me 3 pieces can mate a king. So we have 1, 2, 3. Bishop takes. And that's protected by the queen. And there, so the bishop takes, king moves, and then the queen comes with mate. So that's one line. And let's say that let's say the bishop moves up here. Oh wow. Snap, you were right. I can't believe I didn't see that. Yeah, if he moves up there, you win. Right. Wow, nice. Smack. Yep, good job there. Good find. Good work, guys. That was an excellent find. And see how we based our idea on the vulnerable. We'll just go back real quick. Let's go back to this puzzle. Do you see how when our opponent played queen c8, he left the bishop to be, captured under attack, and he had to basically sacrifice his queen because of doing that. So you can learn a lot from that. Exactly. You're right on there. Right on. Okay. So, let's see, what do we got here? What do we got? That's the cool thing about chess. There's a lot of ideas behind certain moves, and so you can actually choose from those moves. Okie dokie. Okay. This attacked the rook, so let's not worry about that right away, because we'll keep that in our pocket of the threat. But let's see what his move actually gave us for potential attack. So when he moved back to attack our rook, he actually blocked his rook in from e6. So can we and he surrendered the e4 pawn for a potential knight attack. So we potentially have bishop takes f2, king takes f2, knight e4. Check. If the king moves back, that snap. If only we had the ability for our queen to come over here, we potentially would have a almost a smothered mate, but I don't think we would. So that this is a idea right here with that. So you have to, but first we now have to take in consideration what's the consequences of our move. It leaves the rook to be taken, so also that's true as well. Moves could actually be wasted time. So you have to take in consideration, is it a wasted time? Can we make an idea based on this by using the time that they've given us? And yes, we can. Like you potentially have something like this. You have a knight there. You have to always look at ideas. There's multitude of ideas behind each move. Like we see that this bishop and knight are not protected, so they're both open for an attack. So an idea would be maybe a skewer with rook to h4, attacking the bishop right through to the knight by our rook going there. It also does one thing as well. It gets our rook out of attack from the bishop. So potentially that might be an idea, but it does do one thing. It surrenders g5. So he potentially could play bishop g5. But if he does that, we win the knight. So he'd probably have to play queen there. But if he does that, well, then we check with our bishop at that. Oh, here, there. Bishop takes. If king takes, then we drop in with a fork. So we actually win a rook in this scenario by queen here, bishop there. And if queen goes back, queen takes, we have knight to e4. And that's a potential idea. Interesting play there. Yeah. So he does potentially have that too. Actually, if he does that, that's interesting. That is an interesting. I do like it. Yeah, I do like that move. Then we take the knight. Otherwise, what would happen is if he played here, you can actually, you can bring the knight in first and foremost. Yeah, bring the knight in first, and then if he moves here, then you actually have that. Yeah. Good find there, man. That was excellent, guys. Good work. That right there was called a skewer. if you were wondering what tactic that was played there, that was a skewer. So you can, if you'll eventually, once you start doing these tactics, you'll start to recognize the tactical names behind it. And then you'll be able to see them in your own chess games, and it'll be like, you'll be like, yeah, and then you get to say like Hannibal Smith, I love it when a plan comes together. You get to say that inside. You never say it outside. Even if you win, you shake your opponent's hand, and then you celebrate outside, but you never celebrate. My teacher told me at the table. You know, that's not what chess is about. You can celebrate later. Hmm. Let's see here. Okay, okay, okay. So he's got 3 attackers on that. Let's see if we take here. He takes here. We take there. He moves. And then... oh, snap. That's protected by the queen. Snap. Hmm. Yeah, each move, it's just, it looks so tempting to do that, but then I have to remember that this is being attacked twice if we do that. This is being attacked 3 times if we take here, so it's like, man alive, what do we do? Well, the only problem, let me see, if we take here, knight takes, bishop takes, bishop takes. Huh. So he's going to actually have to take, if he has to take with his bishop then, because if he ever takes with his knight, let's say we take here, he takes with his knight, you can actually triple up an attack on that knight. If he plays here, that does change everything, doesn't it? Huh. Yeah. Let's see, what do we got? What do we got here? I was checking something like that out, but he still has that there, so... Interesting. Nice. Or we grab the knight first, and then if he plays here, we can actually play there. Huh. Just trying to see if we can't actually pick this knight off first and then play here. So we might be able to actually take this, and if he plays bishop here, we play our knight to a4. We control these 2 points and that pawn. So let's see here, there. He can't keep holding this bishop. He can't play here, can't play there. But we win the queen. So if we take here, we force him to actually take, and this guards this pawn after we take. Potentially that might win. Let me see. Let's see, he'd probably have to move here. And then we would have to take there. Knight takes. Then pawn takes. Interesting. That's a way of doing it. What happens if he plays knight takes? I mean knight c3, right? Oh, it takes d. Okay. See, if we played there and he retreats back, we then can actually win the knight. So, that is interesting for sure. Oh, what's wrong with take c6? Oh, the queen takes here, and it's protected by the knight. Sorry, I lost track of the line that you were putting in there he actually wins. So and even if we play here, he's still up a piece, and I'm not sure if we move that first or we take first, because there's two lines that arise. If you take here and he takes with his bishop, you take with your knight. He can't go here. He can't go here. Can't go here. Can't go here. Well, I mean, he could go after this. He could go here. So the queen has. We'll mark the spots the queen can't go to. Can't go here, 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 or here. He really has these spots to go to. And so if he goes after this, if he goes there, yeah. And I'll even show you after this. I'll show you the line that what you were talking about after we solve this puzzle. We'll go back through and we'll go over the line so that you can get a visual look at it. More likely he's going to play here. If we play there, then we take, his knight takes, and then we could take, but that might be the most forcing move. Now that I think about it. This has just a sitch with that. So if we took, oops, gotta be careful. If we took here first, bishop would take there. He still has this idea. So not sure if we actually take first. I think we might have to, because he potentially has that, so not a problem. Excuse me. Let's see. Oh man, I'm trying to think. The idea of 94 is a good move. I'm just thinking more of a simplification. What the computer might actually want. Your idea is really good on here. This is actually a really good move. I'm just seeing if we have to add one move before that. This takes here, then bishop takes, then here, then there, then takes, knight takes, bishop takes. Huh. Well, okay, so if here, knight e6, bishop oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, that is right. Oh, wow. Yeah, because if you take there, let's see. Here, you're right. Yeah, there. Yeah, I see what you're saying now. Because they could take there. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. This has to be the move. Yeah. Okay, so after takes there, we have to take here. Bishop takes. Potentially gets 3 pieces, so... yeah. Because he gets 3 pieces here. Yeah, you got it. That's right. Let's see here. There. Let's see if we take here. Queen takes. No. We'd have equal material, so takes here, there. Then we move, and if he comes back and takes, we take. Okay, yeah, that has to be the move, because if he comes here, I believe we can. Oh, we just take there. Snap. Takes here. Oh, okay. There we go. Okay, now let's go over that one line. That what we were talking about here. Okay, if we played here. He would play. He could actually play there. Then we take. King takes. And I believe. Oh wow! Yeah, you are right. You do win. So you're right. You have to take with the knight, and then that, and it's just slightly better for black. So good job. Okay, we'll do one more. These are really tough, but they're fun, aren't they? So that was a, I think that, let me see, what name would that be? That'd be a decoy. Hold on, let's go back. Well, I want to get that puzzle down. So that'd be a fork. Would that be a fork? No, it'd be a double attack. That's right, a double attack. That's what it is. It's a double attack because the knight's attacking the queen and the pawn's attacking the knight. So that's a double attack. That's the name. That's the name of that tactic. A double attack. I'm trying to figure out the name of all these tactics that we do, so it helps ingrain them into our head. Okay. That's the point. It's not just doing tactics; it's the understanding of the tactics that is what makes you a great chess player. Oh, sweet! This knight, this rook's on pre. Yeah, deflection works too. It probably has a multitude of different ones, but the one that I spotted that was an idea like what you're saying, a deflection and also a double attack. Excuse me, there was a lot there. There's even a fork. There was it was a double attack, and then when we took the queen, that was an attack on the rook and an attack on the knight. So it actually had, the knight and the rook. So it had a double attack twice, which is stellar. That's like, wow. You don't get to have a double attack twice on each in two moves, like a double attack, then a double attack. It's like, whoa. So let's see here. So a castle, queen side. If we take here, he'll play bishop c4, skewering our queen to our rook. Or a pinning our queen to our rook, but we're going to move it, and so he would win it. Win our rook, and then I guess we can win. We can, but no, then we'd have to take. Yeah. Oh, it's okay. Hey, you know what? We yeah, in chess tactics on LHS, you start out and then you build up. So trust me, we didn't get to 2300 for a while. We were hanging around 1900 and 2000, and then eventually we started getting better understanding. Then we went to 2100, 22. Now we're at 23, and we're fighting to get to 24. And with that, there's an understanding. Each 100 levels after this is a deeper understanding inside of tactics. And you'll actually start seeing that there's the lines actually go out farther too. Yeah, that is true. That's true as well. Hmm. Hmm. Boy, I'm thinking potentially maybe there's candidate moves. There's queen, e3. So when you castle queenside, this is still under fire. The rook on h8. So we have to look at that. Yeah, you know what, we're doing good. We will get to the 2500 level mark, and then we'll have, and by that time we'll have a deeper understanding for tactics as well. Let's see if we take here. Hmm. Yeah, my teacher actually set up tactics on the board, and we would go over them together. So he would give me puzzles to go over, but like what you're saying, some is true. I agree that you learn by also doing it independent, but it's also fun when you have you know others working with you, because then you guys get to talk about other ideas that you're thinking. So you get a little bit, I think, more out of it when others are also participating. That's just my opinion. It may be different for other players that improve, but that's just my opinion for me. Let's see here. Okay. This bishop's on pre as well. So even if we took here, the bishop checked, we could actually move our queen to g4 check, and then when the king, when the rook intercepts or the king moved, we just bring our rook up, protecting our bishop on c2 with our rook on f2. So first line would be for a candidate move would be bishop takes h8, bishop c4, queen, to be able to continue to keep our pieces, keep our rook advantage. Queen g4 would be an idea check. And then if rook intercepted or a king moved, you go rook to f2. Well, I don't usually do chess tempo. I usually do chess.com. Those are really fun to do as well. I've done some on chess tempo. I've actually done some. I've played on there before. It is fun. They set up really cool ones. And then sometimes I'll even do. You can do puzzles offline without your account on alliedchess.org too. So if you wanted to like just improve, you can do it not logged in and just do it independently. Yeah, it's all about fun for sure. Okay, let's see here. Here, let's see there. Moves up, and we win a rook. Is there anything else that he could do after takes here? If he tries knight d, knight d7, which I doubt he would do that, you can actually come back and take this pawn, and then his passed pawn is gone, and basically we're just dominating. Next move would potentially be rook c1, and then we'd have a potential pin on the queen. So I agree that what do you guys think? Bishop takes h8. Bishop takes h8. What do you guys think about that? I'll let you guys take a look at that and see what you think. If you guys see anything else. Yeah, it's fine. There's no problem with the black queen. And if there was a check here, like what you're saying, so there's an alternate move as well. I didn't see was the check here. Well, all you need to do is either you can move your king up or move your king over, and you're still at it either way. Either if you check here, either way you can just move up, or and then you get out of the way. Either way. Yep, he's my bro. He's my he's the one that takes care of if there's any not good language being used on the site, on the stream. I mean our stream, that it stays clean for, because we want to keep it all about chess, and so when I get on, he checks and makes sure that everything's good. Yeah. So let's give that a go. Wow. And we could actually play queen there too, so we don't really have to run. So knight here. Bishop takes b2 is our idea. Well, now that I think about it, that does stop that, so. Yeah, we really can't take here because now this skewer actually does work because the knight guards the checking point. Snakies. So that threw a slight wrench in our... Well, I guess we could play... No, no, we can't do that. My bad, because that would be lost. Hmm. Let me see. How can we take advantage? That's on pre. If we played rook d1, and then if he tries bishop here, we can take. Queen takes, and we win. So actually, king take with at that point. So rook here, rook takes. Snakies. This is a nagging problem. Excuse me. I didn't take into consideration that knight move, so I'm trying to see if there's any way we can accomplish something. I think we could actually come back and take, now that I think about it, and bishop there. And bishop here. No. Excuse me. Because my plan was to play check, but I'm not sure if after here, sorry, after takes there, bishop there, here, bishop takes, we don't have that anymore. Man, this really throws a kink into our idea. Boy, there has to be something based around this knight. I know it's to have two pieces on pre like that. There has to be like some sort of fork or something we can use. I don't know if there's a way to we're up a whole piece, so we could actually give it back if we needed to. But I really don't want to if I don't have to. There has to be something here. I'm trying to see, because this move left that. Oh. Potentially that's an idea. Trying to see if bishop here, bishop there, queen moves, takes, and the queen has to move at that point. Or if the king takes, then we can actually take with our king, and we'd be up a piece. So here, there, takes. We could simplify it down to here, there, takes. If king takes, we with our queen can come down and check. King comes up, then we potentially could win a knight and a bishop. Yeah, I was thinking about something like that there. That makes the most sense in the position. Yeah. We do potentially have queen, but then he takes, and so that's the only sitch I see, and the only way to save material, yeah. Yeah. So there we go. So with that, I need him to probably log. Appreciate all you guys coming on and helping. This was great. And well, let's work this out. Let's see if he plays here. What? Okay, we take. And if bishop takes, we take. And then if bishop takes, we actually retreat our bishop back. And he has to retreat his. Oh, he plays there. Then we take. He moves back here. And we play our bishop there. I think at this point I probably would just take. And knight takes, but there is this sitch here. That pawn, so it might be better off to potentially try to. I like that now that I think about it. That takes scope on there, and then you can just at this point just grab that pawn and later on deal with this bishop. Yeah, remember that, guys. Remember. But just remember that sometimes be careful when you trade, because when we played up here, we were able to get rid of the passed pawn, and this basically destroys any counterplay black had. So just keep that in mind when you do that. Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. You're doing great. We're going to get to 2,500. You know what? We got to just work through them. We got to find how the tactics work. You know what? And we'll improve. So remember, don't fear tactics. Just practice. And remember, learn from your games. Win, loss, or draw, you can always gain something. And remember, there's always a plan to position. You just have to find it. And when you do, you get to say inside, I love it when a plan comes together. And remember, guys, keep moving forward. Don't dwell in the past. That's the only thing. And remember, the Lord's giving you a mind to think, and use it to get better. So, guys, tomorrow we're gonna do game 11 of Wesley So, and then we'll start the tactics again. And then I'm probably gonna move to Caruana after Wesley is done with his, and we'll go through each candidate player. So with that, as Wesley So says, serve the Lord Jesus, and as I say, God bless, and I will see you guys on Chess Cruncher TV, and be blessed tonight or in the morning. And remember, keep studying chess, and I'll be back, and we'll do more tactics and games. So be blessed, guys. Bye bye.